Hey guys, welcome to Not Yoga. We are going to go over some back bending today, more so because I also probably need to train these more. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to do a warm up. This isn't necessarily going to repeat or anything like that. I have a list of exercises that we're going to do. These can be done as drills. You don't necessarily have to do this all as one flow or anything like that. But yeah, let's jump right in. Crossbody switches, because we are going to loosen up your posterior capsule of the shoulder, because you need shoulder, back, and hip motion to distribute your forces essentially and gain all the motion for your back bending or bridges. So you can just hug your arm and pull it across your body. Make sure you keep your shoulder down here. And we're just gonna do these a couple times, switching just to loosen up the shoulder. And we'll do some other things to kind of help loosen up the shoulder and the mid-back as well. Honestly, you can hug here or you can grab across, whatever is most comfortable for you. You're gonna just feel a stretch in the back of the shoulder, kind of over here. And you can hang out on one side a little bit longer than the other if you notice any like asymmetries or anything like that. Like for me, my right shoulder is always just a little bit tighter here. So we'll just do that a couple more times. And then we're gonna go into the wall windmills. And oh, by the way, you are going to need a wall for this. I think that should be everything that we need. All right, so wall windmills, you're gonna be kneeling. If you're not comfortable kneeling down, you can always do this standing against the wall. You can allow the shoulders to twist a little bit, but the hips should stay still. So coming up and then circling around, keeping your arm against the wall if you would like. The closer you are to the wall, the harder it's gonna be. So if it's a little bit too much, you can scoot away from the wall. And this is just to loosen up the shoulder a little bit more and then also get a little bit of mid-back motion. Just to loosen you up. I think that was about like 5 or so. And then we'll switch over to the other side. So the closer to the wall, the more challenging it's gonna be. Just resting your arm against the wall and making a little bit of a circle. You can even pause a little bit where you feel a little bit tight. You might feel it as well in the front of the shoulder, since you're stretching out your pec, especially through this area here. And one more on this side, and we're gonna do like 5 more on each side. And then switching. And that's 3, 2 more, 4, 5. Good. Switching over to the other side. You can even, if you want a little bit more of a stretch to the mid-back, you can even take your hand and push on your knee to help twist a little bit more too. And then we're gonna do 1 more. There we go. All right, and then next we're gonna do some passive thoracic extensions to loosen up the chest, shoulder, and upper back a little bit more. So you're gonna put your hands on your wall and you're gonna just drop your chest towards the wall here and then coming back up. You're in control about how far down you go with it. So if it's just a small motion, that's perfectly fine. And you can adjust deeper as you go. We'll do 5 there and then take a little bit of a break. Let the blood flow come back into your hands. And then we're gonna do another set of 5 or so. So you can also think about getting the chest lower on the wall if you would like a little bit more of a stretch. Or you can come up and then work more like back. So it's shoulders is down lower a little bit. You're getting obviously both, but higher up is gonna be more back there. And then we'll do in the other set of 5. 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And then we are going to do what's on my list next. Hip flexor rocks with an overhead reach. So essentially, to distribute the bridge, So you're not biasing one segment. You want to have some hip extension as well. So your hips actually play a role in your bridge. So you're gonna be in a half kneeling position here, tucking the hips under, and then reaching overhead, really getting a good stretch to the front of the hips, and then coming back down. So we're just rocking under, or shifting forward, and then reaching. So this just loosens up the front of the hip, your hip flexors, and then the overhead reach just gets a little bit more TFL on the side of the hip and QL side of the trunk. Okay, and switch to the other side. And reaching over. And also, this will also loosen up the lats a little bit because they run all the way from the back to the shoulder. And really focusing on squeezing the back of the hip that's on the ground. That way you can get a little bit more of that pelvic tilt and a little more of a hip flexor stretch. I think that was 4, that might have been 5, but we're gonna do 1 more for good measure, and then we're gonna do about 5 more on each side. My counting skills with this one might not necessarily be the best, but that's okay. Two more. And then switch to the other side, tucking the hips under, shifting, and then reaching over. Four, 1 more. 5, good. And then we're gonna do some cat and seal rocks. So basically, hands are on the ground, chest is to the ground, hips are up, and then you're rocking hips to go down there, and then coming all the way down. So we're getting a good stretch through the back, really, honestly, partly using your arms as little as possible for this. So you're getting a little bit of active, and then it's active assisted, so you can use your hands. If that's a little bit too challenging, you can also just use your hands and go a little bit more passive. But think about pinching your shoulder blades down a little bit. That way you're not just like pushing up and hinging on your low back there. You're getting a good arch throughout the back. And then you're switching that way. And I know it looks a little bit funky, but articulating through the spine, so thinking about going segment by segment, can also be helpful as well, just to loosen up any sticky spots. And then you can even go up onto your fingertips if you want a little more of a stretch with the cat. And last one for good measure. Good, all right, so that's kind of like the warm-up-ish thing that we're gonna do. So let's go ahead and go into the more bridge-specific stuff. So we are going to work the drop backs, so just dropping back to the wall. So basically, the farther, or there's gonna be a balance of like being super close to the wall versus being super far away from the wall. You're in control about how far, but you're going to basically not hit any pull-up bars or anything on your wall, pushing up through the shoulders, and then dropping back, tapping the wall and coming back up. So we're really trying to distribute it. You're not just like hinging with the lower back, you're pushing up and trying to arch through that mid back and keeping those shoulders pushed up towards your ears. If you feel a little close, then you can step away and kind of find a good spot where you feel like you're getting a good stretch and you still feel in control as you're doing this. Okay, check your surroundings. Pushing up and dropping back and looking up at your hands as you go. And you make sounds. Just do like 5 and then take a little bit of a break, and we're gonna do another set of 5 of those. But basically, you can adjust the steps and how far away as you go. Really, again, pushing up through those shoulders, and then as you get more comfortable, you can go down a little bit more. So let's go again. We're gonna do 5 more. So pushing up and arching. And to come up away from the wall, kind of push away through the shoulders, and you can kind of shift your hips forward. One more. 5. Good. Next, we're going to be doing a wall bridge with a shrug. So same thing, probably getting a little bit closer to the wall, and then you're just going to be doing a little bit of a shrug with the shoulders. This is just going to work that shoulder motion a little bit more, and also some strength at end range as well. So we're gonna do about like 5 or so, and then take a little bit of a break, because it is not the most comfortable position to stay in for a while. So coming up, same drop back. Make sure your hands are flat on the wall, and then you're going to keep your elbows straight as you push away, and then shrug. And then push up, away. Let the blood come back to your head, and then we'll go again. If you do need to modify this for some reason, because it is a little bit of an awkward motion, you can do some pike shrugs as well, so feet are against the wall. And so you're just working that strength, just pure overhead without the thoracic extension and the lumbar extension. So you're coming here, and then just pushing up, and then coming down, just to build that strength in that overhead position. And if you're not comfy on the wall, you can also use like a box or step or something like that too. Or even, honestly, here, and more of like a downward dog position, even though downward dog is yoga, but shh. Okay, anyway, let's do your other set of 10. Hands are on the wall, elbows are staying straight, so you're not just also bending and straightening, it's more creating space between your shoulders and then closing that space between your shoulders. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Get situated here, and then shrugging. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, come on back up, and you can always like step back as well. Next, we're going to be doing some Hollowback sliders. So this does require you to be doing a handstand against the wall. If you don't necessarily feel comfortable with that, you can always grab a foam roll. Let's do that. We'll grab a foam roll. So here, ooh, let's not trip there. If you do not feel comfortable in a handstand against the wall, you can grab a foam roll, and then you're just gonna be doing thoracic extensions with your arms over your head. If you want, you can kind of wrap your hands together to support the head a little bit so it doesn't get tired, but here is fine too. So you're just finding a stiff spot in the mid-back and going from there. Throwing that out of the way. Okay. For the Hollowback sliders, in the handstand, you're going to kick up so your hands are a little bit away from the wall. And then, so here maybe or so you're gonna be at a little bit of an incline, and then you're gonna tuck back and try to get the hips down. And you might hear some pops. That was a good one. Okay, so here, handstand, walking your feet down, getting a good stretch. And basically you're opening up those shoulders and that upper back a little bit more, and then coming back up. That's probably 2 or so. Pushing up through the shoulders the whole time. That's 3. And yours probably is not necessarily gonna look like mine. You don't have to go as far as I am. 4, and we'll do 1 more. 5 seems to be the magic number today, so we'll stick with that. Let the blood come back to your head a little bit. So with that, you're trying to open up those shoulders and open up the mid-back. So you're trying to get more motion through that area. That way we can get back all the way. We're gonna do another set of 5 of those just to loosen up a little bit more. And then we'll do some TikToks after that. So We'll go again. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Kicking up, adjusting your hands, and then walking down. And back up. 1, 2. And you can adjust your head position as well, what's comfortable for you. 1 more. Good. Come on down. Hi. Next we're gonna do some TikToks. So TikToks, tick, tock. Hands are going farther away from the wall than where you just had them, and your feet are touching the wall and then coming back to the wall. You should be good with this one if you don't have a freestanding handstand. If you have a wall handstand, just stay closer to the wall so you're comfortable with it. You're in control of how far down you go as well. That's how we can adjust it. Okay. Let me make sure I don't kick anything. I think we're good here. Always check your surroundings. There are always obstacles in life. I don't know where my delusion came from, so I apologize. So with TikToks, arms overhead starting in a lunge position. Start with your hands closer to the wall, there, and then come back. And if that was too close, then you can step back from there. So here, controlling, coming to the wall, coming down, and then coming back. So I'm still a little bit close for where I want to be. And then kicking away from the wall, pushing away. Do I have room to go back a little bit farther? We'll see. Oh, that might have been a little bit too far. Okay. We'll come here. Okay, so there we go. That's where I want to be. Getting a good stretch through those shoulders, pushing up the whole time, and you can even walk your feet down a little bit more. So that was one. We'll probably just honestly do 1 set of 5 of these. And you can just stick to kicking up and down with 1 foot too. Two more. Good. All right. Next, we are going to be doing some foot elevated bridge rocks. So basically, starting in that position there, you're gonna have your feet against the wall or on a box. You can do that too. And you're just going to be doing some rocks with that. So I'm personally going to get into that position the same way. If you are on a box, it might be easier to bridge up this way. Actually, I haven't tried this against the wall. When I tried to do a combination going into like one of these bridges, it was a lot harder than I anticipated. So we'll see how it is going up into this position here. So feet are on the wall, and then you're gonna be pushing up through your arms to get up. So let's try this. I don't think this is gonna work. I like being down closer to the ground. Okay, so we can do that. It is quite challenging, but here is going to be the bridge. So you're bending the knees and then straightening them there and then coming back down. So there's gonna be a little bit less demand on your hips and your lower back, and we're focusing more on that upper back. Another way that you can get into this, making sure I don't kick the barbell that's right there, is basically the same way as you did the TikTok, but you're gonna be slightly closer to the wall probably, or about the same. So I think this is where I had my hands. So here, I can walk my feet down a little bit more, and now my knees are bent, and then I'm gonna try and straighten as far as I feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable straightening, just walk your feet up a little bit, and you're gonna rock back. Stay pushed up through your shoulders though, that way you don't collapse down, because this one is a little bit challenging. I'm just gonna do 5, that was 2. 3. 4, one more. 5. And your face is probably turning red like mine is. All right, we're gonna be doing, let's just do some band-assisted bridge rocks next. I forgot the band. You don't necessarily need to use the band, but I thought of this alternative today, and since I have a pull-up bar over my head, I will show you guys if you feel like you need it, and you don't have to do it with it if you don't want to. So we have the band going overhead, and not missing the bar. Okay, there we go. And you can thread it through. This one might be a little bit heavy for me, but you can place it where you feel a little bit tighter. So if you feel like you get a lot of motion through your low back, but not as much through the upper back, place it kind of in the upper back. You can hold it down here as you get down to the ground. I'll turn a little bit this way so you can see a little bit better. So here, now this is gonna help me bridge up, so it's gonna be a little bit less on, it's gonna be a little easier on my arms. So starting here, hands are facing your shoulders, and then you're just gonna push up, drive through your heels, squeeze your butt. There, okay? And now we can do a little bit of rocking. So feet probably gonna be a little bit apart here just to make it a little easier. You can work towards putting your feet together to make it a little bit harder. But here, and then pushing back, getting a good stretch. So you might go here to here, and that's perfectly fine. Trying to keep those elbows straight as best you can. And then we're gonna do 5, because that's the magic number today for 5, and then come on down. And again, you may or may not need the band, but it's there in case you want it or need it. And we'll do one more set of 5 of these, and then we are going to do a little bit of a cool down and get the back a little bit bending while they're work, since it might be tired of bending backwards. All right, ready? Last set, 3, 2, 1, up. Get your hand placement. I'm gonna do my feet together this time and rocking back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, and come on down. And then grab your band if you're using it. That way it doesn't like smack you in the face. And then this is the awkward part. There we go. This is soup. Yep, don't do that. All right, cool, that is free. Now we are going to be doing a standing shoulder flexion, or shoulder extension, lumbar flexion, stretch. So this straddle one, coming here, hands behind your back, interlacing and just kind of dangling. And we're gonna hang out here for a little bit. Just to bend the opposite way. You can swing, you don't necessarily need to. And if your shoulders are kind of like, I'm dead, I don't wanna work, you can come here as well. Just loosen it up there. And then go ahead and bring your feet together. And then we're gonna be doing some tuck to pikes. If you would like, you can grab the back of your legs if you want a little bit of additional stretch as you pull up. You don't need to though, and you can also use some blocks, or you don't need to straighten your legs as far. So you can come here to start, and then come here, and then going up as far as you feel comfortable, or you can straighten out all the way if you can, coming here, and if you want, you can even grab the back and pull a little bit more of the legs. And one more. Good. And then now we're gonna do some pelvic tilts, because we want to make sure, because our abs were elongated for a little bit, and they might have decided to not necessarily work as much. And now we can kind of cue them, hey, like we're here. Since we did a lot of like the back bending where they're a little more stretched. So we're gonna do a pelvic tilt, so you're basically tightening up the stomach, pushing your low back into the ground, making sure your shoulders are relaxed. So you're just moving those hips under, holding for about 3 seconds, and you should be able to breathe while you do this. We're gonna do about 10 or so. Getting a little bit of a stretch through that lower back, making sure we feel our abs working again. So if you do a lot of like back bending and things like that, it's sometimes nice to do a little bit of like core activation after. I have no idea how many we've done. My guess is going to be about 6 or so. So we'll do 4 more. Pushing that low back into the ground, relaxing your shoulders. And we'll do 1 more. Okay, and then we're gonna do 1 more. A little bit more intense here. We're gonna do, let's do 20 hip lifts. So when you do the hip lift, try to keep your toes pointed towards the ceiling and not rocking past this way. And then just make sure you're using your hips to start. Controlling it up and controlling it down. That was 10. And if you can't straighten your legs, you can keep them bent a little bit. All right, good. That was 20 or so. If you did enjoy this one, let me know below and let me know if there's any other similar kind of workout style things that you want to do, whether it's for splits or any other skill too.